What do you do when it's time for you to parent your parents? My name is Andrew Ayers. I'm an estate planning and a business law attorney with offices in Edina, Minnesota and New York City. And today we're going to look at a kind of uncomfortable time in a lot of people's lives, and that is if your parents are a little bit older, at some point you may have to step in and actually be the parent to them. So at some point, it becomes likely that you're going to have to look after your parents' health and their finances. It's not fun to do, but it's something that you can make a little bit easier if you plan ahead. Now, I was clearing out my reading stack the other day, and there was a good article in Men's Health magazine called Parenting Your Parents. It came out in the December 2022 issue, and the Men's Health article had 3 good steps we can look at to help you move into this transition and help take care of your parents. The first step was to have a talk and make a plan. Now, I'm also a proponent of doing this anyway, even whether it's going up a generation and talking to your parents or speaking to your children, so that everybody knows what's expected when somebody becomes sick or what we have to do under an estate plan. It's not always going to be an easy talk. It depends on your family and your family dynamics, but it's an important talk, especially if you have aging parents. One thing you need to look at is who do they want to make health decisions for them? So obviously, if they're married, they probably want their spouse to be the first person, but what happens if that spouse isn't there? Who's the next person? Do they have a particular child, a brother or sister, or somebody that they want to make sure is making those health decisions? And if they've chosen that person, does that person know it? Are they comfortable doing that? You may have chosen a brother or a sister who's not comfortable in hospitals and doesn't like to make medical decisions. Another area is, have they laid out who's going to make financial decisions? And the same principle goes here. Who have they chosen? And also, does that person know that they're going to be expected to step in and help out with the finances if your relative, if your parents become sick? And of course, the bigger question is, have they even thought about this? So a lot of times you'll have this conversation and your parents probably think they're healthy and they've been living for years, and they might not have ever actually had this conversation. They might not have thought about it and gone through, what would this look like if I'm no longer able to do everything for myself? It's very common that people don't think about this, so that's why it's important to have that conversation. Step 2 under the article is to figure out the finances. And this obviously goes back to number 1, but we have to first of all know, what do the finances look like? And if they're not really comfortable talking to you, maybe they'll let you talk to their financial planner, who can give you an idea of what the finances look like. Because you want to create some kind of a budget. You need to create a budget, because chances are, if your parents are older, they're not working anymore, they're living on a fixed income, and their income is coming from certain assets, and you need to know what those are and what the budget is for how they're going to live. Because if they start to get sick, you may have some major medical expenses that you'll need to deal with, and you don't want those coming out of your pocket unless they have to. And you don't actually have to have a power of attorney to help your parents with their finances, but it's a really good idea, because if you're working with them and you're trying to talk to their bank or their financial planner, a lot of times those institutions will want to see a power of attorney to make sure they're talking to the right child and it's not somebody trying to step in and take money from their client. Step number 3 is incredibly important in this, and that is you. Mind your personal mental health. This is not an easy thing to deal with. Nobody likes to see their parents get older. It's a very hard time emotionally to have to be able to step in and help them with finances, to help them with healthcare decisions. It's going to be rough on you mentally. It's going to be tough, and I can't say it enough that it's going to be tough, and you need to be ready for it and make sure that you have resources available to yourself. Make sure you have people you can talk to, work with professionals, work with their financial planner, talk to their banker. You want to make sure that you have people you can talk to, because this is not necessarily going to be a fun thing for you to do, but it's something you have to do. You love your parents and you want to make sure they're getting the best care. Now, there were 3 steps in the article, and I would actually add a 4th step that I see when I talk to clients about this, and that is, make sure your own estate planning documents are in place. As I said earlier, I always encourage people, when you've created an estate plan, to at least have a basic conversation with your family so people know who's in what role and what's going to happen in the future. And if you go through this exercise with your parents, if you're helping them with their finances, with their healthcare decisions, you're probably then going to take a look in the mirror and say, wait a second, what do I want to have happen when I get older, when my kids have to step in or my siblings have to step in and help me? What do I want that to look like? And rather than it just be whatever you feel like at that time, create an estate plan, create the proper documents that lays all of this out so that you don't have to worry that your family doesn't understand where you want to live or what healthcare decisions you want to have made. So there's going to be 2 ways you can do this. It's pretty common that we talk about this in our videos. The first way is you can try to do this all yourself. As I said in step number 3, it's going to be mentally exhausting. It's emotionally exhausting to try to sort this all out with your parents without some kind of guidance. So the other way to do it, number 2, Don't do it yourself, work with professionals. As I said, talk to the financial planner, their accountant, their banker, talk to their attorney who created an estate plan. Work with professionals to make sure that you understand what plan is in place and what needs to happen. And when you're looking at your own documents in step 4, same thing, work with a professional. Talk to your accountant and your financial advisor. Make sure that your estate plan is up to date and has the right people and the right roles for you. If you're ready to get started, you can go to my website, andrewmayers.com. There's a red Legal Strategy Session button on the main page. You can click that and you'll be taken to my personal calendar where we can set up a time for a 15 or 20 minute phone call to discuss where you are in the process and what are some next steps. Whether it's going to be helping your parents with their finances or realizing that now it's time to get your estate plan in order, let's set up that legal strategy session to make sure that you've got everything in place and on the right track.